when I was a kid, just didn't thought about this. When I was a kid, my mother canned, right? We would grow a garden.
Oh, yeah.
Green beans, pack them in a jar, put a seal on it, right?
Yeah.
Old country people, right? We were just mountain country people. And put it in this big, what they called a pressure cooker. Now, you knew pressure was going to build up inside of that. It was designed.
That was its purpose,
That was its purpose, was to build up pressure from boiling water. That pressure compress and seal those jars of green beans that were inside of that pressure cooker. So you already knew up front you were going to build pressure on the inside of that pot.
Sure.
Your trust is that the integrity of the walls of that pot were solid and could contain and hold, and the seal and the lid and everything. You had to lock it down. I mean, and you watched your little pressure gauge, to make sure that. But one time, I know of a circumstance where that pot got overpressured. And it did not just break apart and boil over on the stove. It blew that lid through the roof.
Wow.
When that thing went off, phoom, and I mean, it took ceiling, drywall, lattice work,
took it
all the way through and blew a hole out of the roof the size of that lid.
That's incredible.
The worst thing you want to happen is to have pressure build up so much that it starts revealing the fractures.
Yeah.
Now, everybody has fractures in their life. None of us are perfect. None of the vessels that we hold, your outside, your brain, your soul and your body, that's the vessel. That is the pressure cooker. Nobody wants to have absolute problems build up on the inside to the place where you blow your lid off.
Yeah.
It's devastating. You don't want that to happen to any human being, much less to an officer who is standing on the line between good and evil for us and our community.
Well, and they're constantly under the pressure, right?
Constantly. And they know that. They're taught that. Officers are taught in the academy, this job has pressures. Listen, these are the pressures you're going to endure. You're trained. You're physically trained. All these things you go through in the academy. Or even if you talk about the military, even in boot camp or whatever, you're trained. You're taught that these pressures are going to come. However, when you get out and start actually doing the job, and then people who are supposed to appreciate you and love you for what you're doing and the price that you're willing to pay start treating you as though you're dejected and you're the bad person.
Yeah.
And actually you're the good person on the scene. And granted, bad things have happened even with good people or bad people.
No doubt.
Mistakes happen. It's a job. It's a calling,
that
but it also has
humans.
That involves humans.
Right.
However, not every officer leaves their home planning on having a bad day for them or the people they come in contact with. Probably 98% or more.
Yeah. Well, and you say that, you're right. We do a good job of preparing our officers through the academy. I think the great disillusionment occurs once somebody's been doing this job for a while, any woman or man that's doing this, and then also all the regular events in life are occurring, you suddenly realize nobody really gave you all the tools you need to be able to address that.
Right.
And so that's where I say you find that you still have this piece that's missing.
Yep.
Now, we do have strong officers of faith, various faiths, that really rely upon that, recline upon that, and for the good, right?
That's right.
But there are many officers that tell me, I have to believe that you've heard this too, that this job and all that comes with it has done a lot to drive them away.
Oh, it damages
from that.
Yes.
Right? Or compromise that, or just change that in a way that they don't even recognize it anymore.
That's right.
How many officers do we hear? I have to believe officers that are watching this right now, that have said, I know I'm a good person. I started off being a good person.
Right.
I had a faith, this job drove me away from it, or I saw the human element in a way that it changed my whole perspective.
I would say disillusionment.
There you go.
It really, you start questioning things in your life.
You can't make it all
right
add up.
Because what you see day in and day out are how evil and wicked humans can be to another human.
That's right.
Or not. Let's say it's a circumstance of a car crash or a situation where it's an accident. Still, you've got to go in, clean that up, deal with that, and you see people at their worst. You see them deceased. You see them in great pain. And so your heart as an officer is to fix all that, and then you realize you really can't. You got to deal with it, but most of the time you can't really fix it, right?
Right.
And so that brings, you have a honeymoon period, and then you start hitting these years of disillusionment.
Yeah.
I thought all this was going to work great, and now I'm finding that, man, I'm holding on.
Oh, this is what sustained pain.
Sustained pain. That's good.
Once you have sustained pain, you start to lose sight of the forest for the trees that are right in front of you, and that's what we're hoping that this is. Talk a little bit for folks to understand why do we call it Remnant Rebuild? Where does that name come from?
Well, because, all right, so most officers deal with exterior coming at them, right? Or them being on a scene where there's an exterior. But in every officer, there's a great interior. And there are places in our lives where we think we're alone. We think we stand alone. We find ourselves in pain where we're dealing with what we consider a lonely battle and nobody else is going through this but me. We're doing this podcast to let every cop know unequivocally you are not alone. And we're going to reveal this remnant. Now, remnant is not the whole cloth. A remnant, even in your Bible, it's a piece that comes alongside to strengthen, to be sewn in, to strengthen the whole, though it's not the whole. Remnant revealed is, hey, we want to let you know that our voice is here to be heard.
Well, and I think it's also saying, right, that the law enforcement officer often, as we see, they become the remnant that holds the fabric of their communities together.
Again, that's right.
So, but we also have to make sure that we hold them together to be able to do that. To be able
to hold, that's right.
And the good news is this. When you see the profession and what we do through this lens of this biblical perspective, and I don't want to scare people away by talking about the Bible, but it really is a roadmap. And when you get in here and you start reading it, what you quickly learn is that we serve a remnant God who uses remnants.
That's right. And this is our SO. This is not a you dirty dog book. This is an SOP book. This is general orders book.
There you go.
I mean, this is what keeps everything okay in life. But it also provides great hope.
There you go.
And what we're looking for in a hopeless world, in a hopeless situation, even officers and their families, they need hope. Why am I doing this job?
Yeah.
I need to know why, because you lose that along the way.
Well, and periodically you have to be reminded of why it is you do what you do.
That's right.
And who you do it for. And I know in this podcast we're going to have many different opportunities to talk about that, get in depth about all that. Yeah. But what I want people to know when they're looking at this first video here and they're saying, why would I want to continue to watch this and dial in and tune in for different discussions? We're going to get in depth on all of these issues. Yes, we are. But I know for a fact, and this is the reason why we've been working so hard, but wanted to get this out even before the Christmas holiday.
Yes.
Is because we know that there are many officers struggling right now.
That's right.
My heart hurts because I know of officers personally, and I know there's so many more across this nation that are struggling with physical injuries that they've sustained on the job or off the job, but also emotional injuries.
That's right.
Injuries, trauma to their body, trauma to their mind, but also trauma to their soul and their spirit. And there are officers that are barely hanging on.
Barely hanging on.
And my prayer is that there's someone who stumbled upon this podcast, this very one that we worked hard to get out here now, that said, I'm just desperately needing to see some kind of light in this darkness. I want them to know you found it.
That's right.
You found an opportunity and an outlet. Not us, but we're going to reflect and point you to where that
we
hope
are
comes.
revealing.
That's it.
What God has to say about your life from his word, and hope will arise. Listen to me now. I'm talking to you. Hope will arise in your heart. Great hope will arise in your heart. If you'll listen to these and listen, we're going to do this no matter what, but we're asking you that you would come and listen to these podcasts, watch these podcasts. We don't have everything perfect yet. We don't have everything in place. Everything here is changeable. You can shoot us some suggestions, but here's what we know, and we both know this because we live it. Our only hope is through the Word of God and in Jesus Christ. Your only hope is absolutely, unequivocally, without shame to say to you, your hope is Jesus Christ and his word and his presence. And if you'll let him help you, if you'll begin to walk by faith with him, he will help this issue that is spiritually inside of you and help you begin to walk in a greater level of peace and hope yourself. Hey, thanks for joining us today. Rick and I trust that you heard something that will help your life. And if you believe that it would help others, please make sure and share. Like and subscribe and hit that bell so that you can be notified when the next podcast is available. God bless you, and we'll see you soon.